Welcome, everyone, to the Heal With Us podcast. I'm here with my beautiful Bella, and I'm Giovanni, and I can't wait to talk about this week. And what we have in store is something that Bella has been talking about in all her social media channels this week. And so I'm excited because she's definitely warmed up for this episode. What do you think, Bella?
Oh my gosh, this week has been very intense. Today we're going to talk about the wound of abandonment, how actually that wound shows up in your life, in your relationships. Because I had it myself, and I healed it myself in many different layers. And I see it in my clients too. So I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yeah, me too. It's something that I personally had to deal with myself. And so I just can't wait. Yeah, so stick around, heal with us, and heal with us too.
Welcome.
Welcome. So Bella, let's get into the wound of abandonment, right? It's a wound I think that a lot of people struggle to identify, and it shows up in so many different ways. And it's kind of hard to diagnose, but this week you've been dealing with some clients, you're in the weeds of it, and so you are fresh to talk about this subject matter here on this podcast episode.
You know what? I have received many messages actually this month. It's so interesting to see how many people are going through a breakup. And I can see how the pattern repeats itself in many different ways, you know. And going through the pain of someone leaving you, especially a lot of men are going through that the women is leaving them. Like it's amazing how many men are going through this thing. And so the way it shows up in the sense is like when you're going through the pain of someone leaving you, it's a different when you feel, of course, the pain of losing someone. Of course, you're gonna feel sad. Maybe you're gonna grieve, right? But at the end of the day, you know when it's a healthy way to letting someone leave is that even if it's painful, you wish the best for the other person, right? You wish them to be happy as well, even if they're not with you. But there is a difference if you actually losing yourself because that person leaves to the point that you can't continue anymore with your own life. That's a way to see maybe you have the wound of abandonment, you know, because that will activate so much pain within you that you cannot continue longer going with your daily life because it's so much painful. Where does that come from?
Yeah. It's I know you and I have talked quite a bit, particularly with the clients that you've had recently. There was a client I think you had out of Spain, right? And what was that person going through? Because I it's something that stayed with me. He was the gentleman like whose partner was leaving him, and his reaction was just so to chase, to pursue, to not accept, and like I started getting emotional, like as if I were the client myself. And so walk me through what you think that person was going through, and what do you think was the root cause?
It's because when we have childhood trauma, usually when we have parents that maybe they were there, present, but emotional unavailable, meaning that they didn't give us the love that we needed, the support, because most of the times in this particular case, the gentleman didn't have a father, and the mother left him because she came to US for a better life for him, right? So he learned to receive love through gift and things because that's what the mom could do for him, right? But not actually touching, affirmation, that present love. So when the partner decided to leave him, the wound activated, you know, the abandonment that he felt in a childhood, that it was so sad that when we went to do the childhood, to recover those childhood memories, he remembered how lonely he was, how sad he was. And the partner leaving him activated the same wound. That pain that you probably didn't even remember that you had, you know? And that's what we do in the sessions. And I can tell myself because I relate to this, and I think you're aware of this. Like, I have two beautiful parents, but I chose in this lifetime a father who was in a wheelchair. And he was present. He could do the best that he can, to raise the family as any man do, provide in terms of things, money, work, whatever actually the house need, right? But he was emotional, unavailable, meaning that I don't remember my father saying, I love you. I mean, he was in wheelchair. How come he couldn't even play with me, And my mother was present as well. She did the best that she could. She had to take care of my father and all these kids. So we never had this loving, I won't say family, words, affirmations, feeling actually loved. And recently with you, there was another thing that appeared in me, the memory that I felt so lonely. And remembering how I never felt loved in my childhood. And actually this week I was just trying to see how these wounds showed up for me. I think part of it is because I was choosing unavailable men, And I thought, and many women probably can relate to this, that we think their men are the issue. They never men are not the issue. What makes you choose that relationship? What makes you choose you stay in those relationships, right? So for women, the wound of abandonment can be overgiving, try to give too much, taking care too much, because that's the way that we want to feel secure that nobody will leave us, Do you have something to say there?
Yeah,
I think I have talked too much.
No, you're talking. Everything makes so much sense. I don't want to interrupt and also make the camera switch. So, yeah, I think, watching you go through that moment of where you remembered your loneliness was big for me. Like, you don't know what your partner is carrying sometimes, and we ourselves sometimes we don't know what we're carrying, right? And so, I was struggling myself to say, like, oh my God, how do I snap you out of it, right? Because you had been in with like 3 hours just, in this cycle of that loneliness that you felt as a young girl, and as a partner, you wanna take care of everything, right? And you want to comfort that person. But sometimes I think we become enablers of wounds if we don't address the wound at the right level, right? At the right place. And so I think as a partner, it's incredibly important to like support and give support, but not to enable for this wound to continue to exist, right? And so that day was beautiful because I don't know, out of nowhere, this thing came out of me that I just had to give all my love to you in a big, like, the most aggressive I love you that I could give you ever.
It's very interesting because I thought that I have healed a wound because I had worked in myself in many layers, right? Work with the father wound, with the mother wound. But it was something still there. Now I have the tools. I use it with my own client. So it was faster for me that piece of just turn it around, right?
Yeah.
But I think in the other way that
so
actually shows in women, I think for myself too, is like not to be able to receive or feeling the strong one. I don't need anybody. It's a form of protection. That you abandon yourself. You don't let yourself people coming into your heart. Because of you block yourself for love. You tell me I'm a love blocker.
Hey, I didn't say I was a love blocker. I never accused that. That came out of your own session, okay? But she's a little love blocker, by the way. The wound of abandonment can show up in so many ways. And for me, it showed up as when we were young, our parents left us to come to America. And so I can't, though I don't have a lot of recollection. Um, what I started to see in my older age is that, like, when I moved out, I wouldn't call my parents. I wouldn't really miss them. And I wouldn't, like, we lived in the same town, and yet, like, 3 months would go by, 6 months would go by, and my mom would call me and say, like, why aren't you calling me? Like, wanting some attention from her son. And it very quickly became apparent that I didn't have that level of connection. And so in retrospect, I realized that I wasn't connecting with others at a deeper level. And I just had to circle back and say, hey, where did this thing begin? And I had to just pinpoint it psychologically that it must have been when I was a kid and my parents left us. And they left us for a better living, to create a better opportunity. But what's a child gonna know, right? A child's gonna just miss his mom, her mom, her dad, his dad, and it's gonna close up, right? Because a lot of times our parents don't even explain what's happening to us, because they think we don't understand. And what we now know is that kids actually understand a lot more. So you can talk to kids and walk them through the feelings that they're going to experience and give them tools to remind themselves. But I'm pretty sure my parents did not do that. So I've very likely closed up a part of me, and probably, I think, from there on out, had a difficult time connecting with people at a certain level, to the point where I had really good friends, and I hurt a best friend who thought I was one of their best friends. And I said to them, no, you're not my best friend. I didn't know what it meant to be a best friend. I thought I had to feel a certain way, but I didn't realize that my own heart was not connected, was not creating that signal to create at that level, because I was closed off, right? And so the way I dealt with my wound of abandonment is to run to it, to say, okay, so I must not be connecting at my parents because of this. So let me be proactive. Let me call my parents, even if I don't need to. Let me go and visit, even if I don't want to. Let me touch my parents. Let me hug them. Let me squeeze them. Let me show them love. And that, running into it, just kind of guessing that was a little bit of a wound there, or a big wound, actually opened me up, and opened me up to a greater type of friendship. And when I began doing that, I created an incredible friends group that we were so tight knit. We went everywhere together, explored together. We called ourselves the Dirty Squad, because everywhere we went, things got crazy and hectic and fun, and naughty too. So addressing that wound for me looked like that. It was my inability to connect, and then by addressing it, I began to connect with a lot of beautiful human beings, and I continued to work on that for a long period of time. Yeah.
With the men that I have worked recently, it shows up staying in relationships where they don't feel value, but still there because sense of responsibility. They lose themselves. They know they're unhappy and they're still there. And we think because of the kids, but actually it's the worst thing that you can do. I was making a video today. Think about the responsibility that you give to the kids, staying in a relationship, and then later on, you how can I say it? Your kids will feel responsible for your own happiness because you don't take action, because you don't heal it, because you don't confront it. And now you're putting an excuse for your kids, So now you're giving the responsibility of your kids for your own happiness. The other way that shows up in men is not expressing emotions. So I had this client. I remember when we went to his childhood. So he in the partnership that he has, for him it was evasion is called. Like, when an issue comes, the way for him to deal with this issue is just run. Not to talk about it. It's just like completely disappear, right? And we went through with the childhood. It's like he felt so lonely. Nobody listened to him. Nobody, mom or dad, never actually care about what the kid, thought about as a child. So that creates a lot of issues in relationship, because when you have problems that we all do, how we confront them, how can we speak our truth without hurting, without exploding, or without just not talking about it,
Yeah, yeah. And I think the running away is it's one of those things where it's so autonomous for people. Like it's like a machine. When you press on a machine, it just does what the machine was programmed to do, right? Like a machine can't do anything that is not programmed to do, right? You can't have an oven microwave.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
programmed to microwave, right? And so once that machine goes, it's like the oven is gonna oven, it's gonna cook. And so that wound of abandonment, once it turns on, there's very little thinking and everything's so automatic, right? And it's I think that's the thing that is most hard for people to understand, is to take a step back and say, am I actually thinking? Am I actually making decisions in a conscious way here, right? And that right there, because you think you're in control the entire time, but something else is controlling you, and it's a behavior, it's a wound that's driving all the behavior, but it's not really you, it's not the adult version of you, right? And so there's a little kid that needs to get addressed, right? And that if you address that little kid, the adult reaps the benefits, right?
This week was very heart touching for me, because so I'm working with someone, and when we went to a childhood, he saw himself like pretty much just with no clothes and very lonely as a child, right? And he had both a father and a mother, right? But feeling so lonely. And when we actually this week talk about, what was going on in his life, I realized that he is repeating the same cycle, right? That little kid that felt lonely, abandoned. Now this grown up man has 8 kids, and all of them, he did the same thing. He abandoned all of them. He had all these kids with different women, and he wasn't present because he didn't know how to be present with himself. He stay in relationship because he doesn't want to be alone. That kid that he felt lonely, the same trauma is driving his life. And I'm repeating this cycle. Imagine all 8 kids growing up again with the same wound. So while you don't heal, it repeats itself until someone decided to heal it.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go back to the example you mentioned earlier, where somebody is abandoning themselves by staying in a relationship, right? That it no longer is serving them, right? Where the connection's not there, love, abuse, or just, like the lessons you needed to take are now done, and now you're kind of just sticking around for children. And like you were mentioning, that wound repeats because now the child can sense that you're no longer in this, right? The child can sense that there's no love. The child can sense that that there's no energy exchange, and they're gonna go out and say, okay, this is how I need to show up in the world too. My parents did X, so I'm gonna do X too. And you kind of limit their ability to choose in the world. They start choosing from the options that you chose from the limited options that you showed up. Whereas if you decide to live for yourself, right, then this child, you give them the opportunity to go out and live for themselves as well. So, addressing this abandonment, when you felt abandoned and you're now an adult abandoning yourself, like it's a way to address those generational cycles that appear over and over, where now it's 3 or 4 generations later and the same thing has happened over and over again.
Yeah, because we don't teach our kids by saying, we teach them how we act. So unconsciously, you're teaching them that love is sacrifice, love is painful, that, I mean, think about your relationship, and they're going, the same thing you're doing, they're going to repeat. Even if you don't want to, they're going to repeat the same cycle. That's why it's so important for you to heal, seek help, because we need to break all those things, And if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Would you like your kids to live the same relationship that you're living? Think about it,
Yeah.
Seek help. We're here to help you too.
Yeah, we're here to definitely help. Yeah, I think the one wound that's for me, like probably the hardest is, and I still have, like, I'm still trying to figure out how do people deal with this one, right? Because when wounds happen like this, like the abandonment happens at maybe 4 or 5 and up, there's a sense of consciousness, there's a sense of reasoning, right? And you can even take yourself back. But when it happens at an infant level, right? Like when it happens when a child was left in a crib crying for too long, or maybe hungry for too long, right? When a child, has to sort of nurture itself and draw deep and withdraw, right? That causes those cycles of like, hey, I feel rejected, I feel abandoned, let me shut down, right? Which is what a child would normally do in a crib, right? Kind of like put itself to sleep to avoid the pain. That's one wound that I'm still like, wow, like addressing that at that level could be like probably one of the hardest things to address as an adult, right?
I can tell you my own experience. So let's talk about how do we heal this wound, right? The first of all is recognize that you have it, and then the healing start happening right there. The second one is you need to heal your inner child, right? And when you talk about, some people also grew up missing one parent, either a dad or a mom. It's the same thing, right? So for me, I remember that I did a meditation of going to my mom's womb. No, actually going to my own wound and imagine that I birthed myself. So in the meditation, I gave birth to this little baby. And this is the next step to heal this wound is this baby now is going to be your baby, which is you. And you are going to be in charge. You're going to be the mother. You're going to be the father. How are you going to talk to this baby? How are you going to nurture it? Right? And that's what you have to do. You have to be your own father. You have to be your own mother. And now you have to give this child whatever you didn't have. And by doing that, you're healing yourself. How are you going to talk to it? And I remember when I asked you that, can you sing me a song?
Yeah.
Right? I still remember that. Like, can you sing a song to your little child? I had to do that for myself, and it was very healing, And that's the exercises that we do when we work with the inner child. Go and play with it. Talk to it. Buy a toy or a doll or, become your own father and your own mother.
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of a happy story. I saw a trend this year that I saw on Instagram, and not, social media gets a bad rap, but there's good trends. There's nice things that happen with social media. And last Christmas, I saw children buying toys for their parents, that toys they never had before. The dolls, cars, robots, you name it. And these parents were opening up these gifts, and they would start immediately crying. And I'm getting emotional a little bit right now.
I'm going to do that for my mom.
Yeah. Buy her a doll. Buy her something she's never had before. It was such a beautiful trend because there particularly in immigrant families there was just so much self-sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of impoverishment from a lack, right? And so it was very beautiful to see that. And one way your kids that may trigger your own wounds, they may be helping you heal as well, right? And I think also pouring into your own children, right? Not overdoing it so you don't create spoiled kids, but nurturing a child can also probably be very healing for you, right?
Of course. I mean, how we change the lineage is by you being different. If you didn't have the love of your father, now by you opening this space for your own kids, being present, being loving, saying, expressing the love to your kids, it's healing right there. You're healing to you and your child, but also changing the lineage. Whatever you didn't have, now you're going to act different with your own kids.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Yeah. What do you think are a few more other ways to heal the wound of abandonment, right? One is for me at least, with running to it, not knowing what was there, but knowing that something has to be there, and I ran to it, right? What would be a few other ways? You had the meditation to get to your inner, to birth yourself.
To birth yourself.
Yeah. What else do you think are tools?
I think the most important is acknowledgement that you have a wound, seeking help. Work with your inner child. And the most healing for me is be your own father, be your own mother. Healing is not going to happen when someone comes and loves you. Healing happens when you actually learn to love yourself the way that the parents should love you. That's when actually healing happens. Are you taking your time to play with yourself? Are you taking your time to listen to yourself? What does your inner child needs? Are you listening to it, or are you avoiding it? Because in a lot of men, what they do is they overwork, and by overworking, we're busy in our head because we don't want to go into the feelings and feel.
Yeah, that's true. I think let's say for men, it's work is a big component, just throwing themselves at work, which causes abandonment again in the next generation. And then for women, it's maybe just giving themselves to their children a lot, you know, that maternal need.
Overgiving.
But, where it's overgiving and then for losing the self, right? Yeah, which I see happen a lot, right? And it could go both ways. Women can go working too much, and men can be too much giving. But generally speaking, this is how this tends to show up. Yeah.
I want to say that. So, healing the wound of abandonment doesn't mean that you don't need anybody. It's learning how to love, not abandon yourself. That's how we'll say.
Yeah. And if anything, just run to the wound. Yeah. Run into it. If there's a way that you're being that you're like, is this really serving me? Right? Run to it, run into it. Try to discover what's there and try to be different, even if it doesn't yet make sense. I think even if it doesn't make sense, you can discover a new version of you. And at least that's what happened for me. And so I grew into a very connected soul, and I love my parents, and I show them lots of love and nourishment, from time, effort, energy, and even money if needed. And so, it opened up a new version of me that I didn't even know I needed. I didn't even know the world needed. So, it was a beautiful thing for me. So yeah, if you're able to address this wound, this is one of the ones that you'll get a lot of benefit from. Yeah,
for sure, because then you're not gonna seeking love and validation outside. You're gonna find it within, and from there we're gonna share to others from our own abundance. Not from fear of losing somebody. So this is a good one.
Yeah, it's a juicy one. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for watching this week's episode of Heal With Us with Bella and Gio. Bella, do you have any last words for our beautiful audience?
Yeah, just a reminder that we don't need to heal alone. it's so beautiful to heal when you have someone with you, to see you grow, to see you change and become the best version of yourself, for you, for your kids, and of course for your partner. So if you need help, I'm a healer, spiritual coach, and my experience is to heal generational trauma, childhood trauma. If you need help, you can find my information in the link and follow us here. And looking forward to see you into the next one.
So yes, guys, thank you for watching this week's episode of Heal With Us. We hope you found it, profound. We hope that you have something here, and we hope that it resonated with you, because we're here to just help and embody a new way to show up on earth as human beings.
Yeah, don't forget to love each other, touch each other, hug each other, make love to each other.
Woo! Of course, with permission, guys. Awesome.
We'll see you until the next one.
We'll see you guys. Take care.